Should Tennessee run up the score on UConn?
A college football tradition like no other. Today's tough question. Take a side. Take a stand. The Dave Hooker Show, a presentation of offthehooksports.com.
All right. We know that Josh Heupel ran up the score against Missouri. Let's just be honest. Can we take that from assumption and thought to it is a fact? Can we go ahead and go that far, Caleb? Or will you take that walk into the knowledge wilderness with me? He ran up the score against Missouri because Eli Drinkwitz is a jackwagon.
100% he ran up the score against Missouri. And he did it not just because of Eli Drinkwitz. That wasn't just at Eli Drinkwitz. Josh Heupel wanted the Missouri job because, again, he had been very successful as an offensive coordinator there. He had 2 good years at UCF. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think Josh Heupel thought he had a chance to get a job like the Tennessee job at the time. So I think Josh Heupel thought the Missouri job would be his best opportunity. So he really wanted that job. So yeah, he ran up the score to humiliate Drinkwitz and to humiliate the Missouri administration. That was about them more than anybody.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Because back in the day, you had to run up the score to win the BCS formula because score differential mattered. That's not really the case with the college football playoff anymore, but it kind of sort of is. It always has to factor in. But should Tennessee run up the score on UConn if given the opportunity, or should they be the nice guys and say, hey, you've got a Morez head coach, so there's a glass ceiling on what you can do, and you don't have as much talent, and we're pushing you around and hurting you, so we're going to be nice. We're Tennessee, and we're going to be nice. Should they be nice, or should they run up the score? Because I'm not a big run up the score guy, but I'm going to tell you why they should here in just a moment. Your thoughts on should Tennessee run up the score against UConn? Because clearly the Huskies are outmatched.
Yes, and they should do it for a few reasons. UConn, as everybody knows, is they almost got into the Big 12, and they're trying to position to be in a Power 5 conference in the future. And Tennessee, just for petty sake, should want UConn to be miserable as an athletic program. Now, I want to dive into the Pat Summitt Geno Auriemma rivalry real quick. Pat Summitt, as everybody knows, canceled the series because she didn't like Geno Auriemma. I think it was using ESPN headquarters as a tour for recruits, and that's how he got Maya Moore. Isn't that where it really goes down?
And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm going to interrupt for just a second. I'm very disappointed in you. You shouldn't run up the score. That's not good sportsmanship, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right, Dave. So I want to tell you this. I actually think Pat Summitt, rest in peace, overreacted there. You use your recruiting advantages that you have. You don't think that Pat, I mean, shouldn't the Lady Vols give women's basketball recruits tours of the College Basketball Hall of Fame in Knoxville when they come? Like,
sure. Yeah, but I think she was a by the book person, and and really when you go to that ESPN complex, I've been there, it is a little daunting. I mean, it kind of makes it's kind of like a Buc-ee's compared to the mom and pop convenience store down the road. Buc-ee's, shout out, maybe a future advertiser here on Off the Hook Sports. So, I mean, the ESPN thing's insanely crazy. So the fact that you could even be near that. Now, it's not like the UConn women's basketball players were regularly going to go over to Bristol and say hi. So that
it hasn't helped their football program out-recruit anybody. So it's like, I mean, I think she shouldn't have been as by the book. I understand that she was more old school, but she should have. So I don't blame Geno for that. What I do blame Geno for, and this is where I come in. And I keep going back to 2016 when Geno Auriemma purposely left Candace Parker off the Olympic team when Candace Parker was the best player in the WNBA at the time. And he did it the year Pat Summitt died. He actually made the decision the same month Pat Summitt died. Ouch. To leave Candace Parker off the Olympic team.
Ouch.
All out of vindictiveness that she didn't commit to UConn coming out of high school.
Okay.
That is as low and disgusting as it gets. And I think Tennessee should pour it onto UConn this weekend just over that one thing.
Okay, what about you're a terrible sport. By the way, Andy Mason Real Estate, over 40 years of experience, best prices, best service in the biz. AndyMasonRealEstate.com for all your real estate needs. All right. I'm disappointed, Caleb. I thought you were a man of moral integrity, but now you're just like run up the score against a bunch of scrubs. Now people
Ruined
are
the athletic program. By the way, Jim Calhoun was also a sleazeball, but we don't have to go into that. But ruined the athletic
no
program.
relation.
No relation
Now,
to me.
by the way, people are saying on the message board, no reason to risk injuries before big games. We definitely don't need injuries. But Travis says that Josh Heupel's going to run it up if he can. Hey, listen, guys, you can run it up with the second string. I'm not saying that you have to keep Joe Milton in there for 4 quarters so he can score a little bit more. I'm not saying that Squirrel White needs to be playing on the final drive of the game. I mean, there are dudes that can run up the score on this team just with the offense that they have. The other factor is, and I think this gets downplayed a little bit, is for the college football playoff. I mean, this is a program unlike Georgia, unlike Alabama, that is defined in a lot of people's eyes, despite what has happened this year with their offense. So if you don't go out there and score 50 plus against UConn and you beat UConn, let's say 34-9, that doesn't look real good based off what Tennessee was last year. So there's an argument to be made that you should do it for the college football playoff. I know it's not as direct as it was when they had the BCS formula, but I think that's a strong argument as well. And then there's the other, just damn do it. Okay. Because here's my thought on this. Tennessee had, they've had some bumps in the road. The Cooper Mays thing at Florida, we've talked about. Alabama was a gut shot loss. Just go out and feel good about yourself. Go out and hang 70 on UConn. I'm sorry, it's never going to come back to bite you in the rear because there's going to be a mega conference that UConn could not possibly ever be invited to. And they're not going to be a factor. You could argue that Tennessee shouldn't have done it against Missouri last year because Missouri might be good this year. And oops, they are. But UConn, nah. It's a paycheck game for them. They're going to get the cash just to feel good after a season that has had some serious emotional bumps in the road. Just to feel good. Should Tennessee run up the score? What do you say on the message board? That's right. Off the Hooks news slogan is just damn do it. I would wear that shirt and you might have one coming your way. Smoky Mountain Red. All right, so which of the three? Rank them. Pat Summitt, just damn do it, or to impress the rest of the nation when it comes to the college football playoff. Why would you run up the score? Because you have such poor moral gravitas that you're going to run up the score on this poor UConn team. What's the reason? Is it Pat Summitt? Is it college football playoff? Is it just damn do it?
So you have actually swayed me. I was saying Pat Summitt at the start. It's college football playoff number 1, because we're going to get into pretty soon here how like Tennessee's rooting interest and how they can try to get in. Dave, I would have agreed with you that it was more direct with the BCS, but if Tennessee's going to get in somehow, it's more direct with Tennessee, because if you're a 2-loss team, then you do need margin of victory, because you're not going to have like a clear cut. If you get in, you won't be clear cut getting in over other teams. You know what I mean? You would have to make your case to the college football playoff committee. You would agree with me on that, right?
I agree. Team? And I'll say the other thing too, while it's not supposed to, margin of victory is not supposed to be a big thing, and it shouldn't, because it was embarrassing at times. I remember Philip Fulmer saying, oh, we had to go out and beat the hell out of Louisiana Monroe because, we needed the points. And it was actually a factor, for those that don't remember, in the formula. Point differential was. So you don't want to make that a habit, but you can't tell me that if Tennessee doesn't hang a 70 spot on UConn, that
80.
some of the, well, I don't know about 80, but that some of those people aren't going to say, whoa, Tennessee's found its offense again. I think it has a residual subconscious effect. I really do.
Oh, that's exactly, I think, why they need to do it. The other point with this, for everybody worried about the starters, I'm so glad you brought up the leaving, you can run it up with the backups. Because I want to bring up a history lesson to people right here. And Dave, you might remember this game. You were young at the time, but I'm sure you know about it. 1985, Miami.
Wait a second. Let me say this real quick. Screw it. Let's go for 100. Elias says. That's what I'm talking about.
Try to break the all-time record blowout is Georgia Tech Cumberland. Georgia Tech won 222-0, 1916, I think. Okay, so my history lesson real quick is 1985 Miami Notre Dame. Jerry Faust, Notre Dame, is coaching his last game. You remember Jerry Faust, right, Dave? He was a high school coach who then got Notre Dame took a shot on, and Notre Dame played, we're classy, we're Notre Dame, and everybody should respect us, and everybody should respect Jerry Faust. And Jimmy Johnson, last game of the year for Miami, just and it's Jerry Faust's last game ever as a coach, and Jimmy Johnson just pours it on. He pulls the starters, but he also, after pulling the starters, does a fake punt on 4th and 11 when he's up by 40.
That's nasty. Now that's probably a little far, but I do believe, and Steve Spurrier said you run your offense with the backups in. Said that's how he would not run up the score. He would pull his starters, but he certainly would continue to run the offense, and that's what you should do. Let's say Nico's in there. Should he be just handing the ball off and handing the ball off? No, that should be a glorified scrimmage for him or whoever backup is in the game. And Tennessee is so much better than UConn and the first and second level of the depth chart that they can do that without risking any injury. So I think you do it for Pat Summitt. I think you do it for the college football playoff, but just damn do it.
Dave, you covered.
I mean, just damn do it. Because if Josh Heupel doesn't make some bad decisions on 4th down at Alabama, and I'm not going to debate that with you, if Cooper Mays isn't hurt, this team's undefeated. So I feel for, maybe it's because I talk to Cooper and Jacob every week, but I feel for how close they are and were, despite the fact that they had a new quarterback that they had to continue to break in. So yeah, just damn do it.
Dave, I will say you covered one exception to this. You covered Lane Kiffin's opening game with Tennessee when they beat Western Kentucky 63-7. He left his starters in the fourth quarter and was trying to run up the score. Remember that? He left Cropton in the whole time.
But you know what's going to happen if somebody gets hurt? You know,
I know.
Do that. Yeah, we would be having that discussion. And
what was going through Kiffin's mind, though, that game? Was he just trying to make a statement his first game as Tennessee's head coach?
What was going through Kiffin's mind? My goodness, can you tee that up anymore? I mean, I have at least 6 things that ran through my head that I could say right now. Should I choose one or should I just move on?
Choose one. I want to hear the fun now. I want the fun.
Okay, what lady he was going to hang out with that night?